Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm MrRedClaw. Welcome back to an episode of Formula 1 2021 My Team Career. This time for the American Grand Prix. Before we get to why the head down below, like and subscribe, because it does help out a lot. And let's go right into it. So here we are for my flying lap around the circuit of the Americas here in Austin, Texas. Of course, the American Grand Prix, there's going to be two this year, of course. First one in Miami and then this one, of course, in Texas. And apparently there's going to be a third one even like next year or something like that. So that's just absolutely insane. The Miami track does look quite cool. And what about this track? Of course, we've had it for about 10 years, maybe even more. Now, and it is quite cool. Maybe not. Actually, 10 years, maybe something like that. I find it quite cool. Of course, it takes a lot of corners from different circuits, which makes it kind of cool in that kind of sense, I guess. Because, oh yeah, the greatest corners from different circuits. But then it's basically like just copying different circuits. But it takes all of the corners together. And actually, it's a decent track, to be honest. You have space to overtake, you have space to defend, you have cool corners that look really cool in qualifying, because when you're on the limit, it's just really cool. You have some grass runoff in places, some tarmac runoff, which isn't as fun. But as you can see, it is actually starting to rain on my qualifying lap, and I'm really mad because I really messed up my first quali lap. I could have definitely got a lot faster, at least a second faster on this second lap if it wasn't raining. But, well, maybe, yeah, a second faster, but we only go 3/10 faster. So let's see what we can do during the qualifying. But it's going to be quite hard, but let's take a look and see what we can do during the race.
Welcome once again then to the United States Grand Prix here in the magnificent city of Austin. It was here in 2018 that Kimi Räikkönen delighted the world by winning for the first time in 114 races. There's always a record to be broken, so what, I wonder, is in store for us today? We have 10 turns to the left and 10 to the right here at the fantastic Circuit of the Americas. Overtaking opportunities into turns 1 and 12 at this anti-clockwise 3.6 mile track. But we may well see cars struggle to slow down there today as the wet weather does interfere with the low-speed grip. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap, so always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Bottas, Max Verstappen and Leclerc, Norris, Sainz, Giovinazzi and Esteban Ocon, Gasly, Stroll, Yuki Tsunoda and Vettel, Russell, Red, Christian Lundgaard and Louis Delatraz, Joe, Mazepin, Latifi. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Mick Schumacher. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
So here we are lined up in P16. Honestly, without that mess up during my first flying lap when it was actually still dry, I could have probably qualified at least P14, maybe even higher than that. But it's lights out, away we go. We get a really bad start as we are on the full wets for this start of the race as we go down the inside, just barely avoid contact with the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly as we shoot up to P12 straight away. So if we would have qualified better, we could have already been in the points or something like that. So yeah, really sucks over there. But over here, going down into the long back straight, you actually get past Pierre Gasly over here, as the AI don't really defend that well on the first lap when they're going into like a corner, like one behind the other. That's kind of like a thing that they could really work on, because I think loads of other AI could have just done what I did, but they didn't, because they kind of just follow the car in front of them, and they just don't really look at that as a place to overtake, which is really, really bad, and they don't really defend that well either. As a lap 2, we try and go down the inside of Esteban Ocon, but just a bit too far away, and actually have to cut the corner just to actually avoid contact with him. But a lap later, on lap 3, have we learned from our mistakes, and are we going to be able to brake at the right time? Are we going to just barely avoid Giovinazzi over there and actually get past Ocon and up to P10, so into the points on lap 3. Not looking too bad, to be honest. And on lap 5 over here, we can see in the same place, this is really a good spot, because the AI, it seems that the AI don't really take like wet lines, so just going out of that corner that we were just at, going onto the back straight, if you take like a bit of a wider line, as you're going to see over here, just kind of get the car turned in faster and then on the throttle faster. As you can see, we actually make contact with the Ferrari because of how fast we got off that corner. Luckily no damage for us, but that means that we're actually going to be able to get past the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz over there and up to P8 on lap 6, so really doing good over here. And are we going to be able to get past other cars in front of us? We've got Norris right ahead. Are we going to be able to do the same thing to him as we did to Carlos Sainz just a lap earlier, as we do the same thing, get a better exit, but in kind of like the second kind of phase of the acceleration, we kind of lose momentum, but then the slipstream kind of starts working. Not really, not the best way to put it, but we kind of get into the slipstream, we kind of get that momentum from the slipstream to actually get past Lando Norris and up to P7 on lap 7. Really doing good in the wet over here, as we are going to pit in. We were going to do the full race on the wets, but we're actually going to go onto the inters for kind of like the second kind of part of the race. And actually for this race, for the first time ever, I actually turned the traction control to normal, or like whatever it is. I think it's normal. Normally I have it on full, but I really wanted to kind of get more out of the car, because of course if you have traction control off, you just don't get as much speed out of the corner if you as if you would without traction control. There you go, got my words out. So I've got it on normal, and if I get better at it, I'm definitely going to turn it down to off, just completely turn it off, because just compare the speed that I get to the AI on some corners with traction control is just absolutely insane. As a lap 9 over here, we get up to P6. We jump, I'm pretty sure, a couple people over there that haven't pitted the lap before. And on lap 9, this is where the race untangles for us. I could have stayed there. I definitely would have been able to catch Leclerc, because I'm pretty sure we're just a bit too slow on the inters. But we could have stayed there. P6, loads of points for us. Definitely would have helped in both championships, but we pit for the softs because I was just getting some understeer on the inters, and that normally when that happens, that is because it's kind of time for the softs or just for the slick tyres. But I'm pretty sure that was just because I wasn't used to driving on medium traction control. I'm pretty sure that was just the feedback I was getting from the traction control setting and not actually from the tyres. So as you can see, we just have no grip on these tyres, and we are just losing tenths of seconds per lap on everyone. I'm pretty sure I was lapping this 40 seconds slower than everyone else at one point. As we get passed by Nikita Mazepin over here, and on lap 10, Lundgaard gets past in the Williams, Russell tries around the outside in the Alfa Romeo, Guan Yu Zhou going down the inside in the Williams, and it's just a massacre. We definitely could have been up there fighting for P5 with Charles Leclerc, maybe just even stayed back in P6 and called it there if we wouldn't have been able to catch up to him. But as you can see over here, falling down to P20, nearly spinning out and crashing into the wall. This just has been an absolute disaster of a race. It just started off so well, but once we got to the intermediates, I was certain that it was time for the slicks. But as you can see, nearly spinning off once again as we get past by Latifi and Delatraz, and we are now last and just losing about 40 seconds per lap. And I was just, at this point, I was like, yeah, I could go on to the intermediates, but I might as well stay out on the slicks, on the softs. We might just crash out at this point, but it might actually give me some practice for the medium traction control, because it actually really helped, to be honest. Just trying to catch the car and stuff. Of course, this is extreme conditions. I'm definitely not going to be driving on softs in intermediate conditions, but it definitely was quite good practice for me. So at the end of the race, where I just knew that I wasn't going to get anything else out of this race, I was just like, might as well just stay here. If I crash out, I crash out. I'm just not going to get any points anyway. As you can see, just dancing around, just trying not to fall off. But I was there just like, might as well just stay over here, do some race over. As you can see, we are literally turning over there, trying to get past, trying to let past Leclerc, but I was just literally just locking up, going into the corner. As you can see, just nearly losing the car once again. But actually, out of these, like, after these, like, 5 or 6 laps, or however long we've been on these softs, I actually felt a lot more comfortable, as we have to let past basically everyone else as we are getting blue flags. But I definitely felt a lot better after all of these laps, because I was just getting more used to it, the traction control setting. But I definitely could have got the P6 in this race, but I guess for future, I guess we know how to drive this car. But as we get out of the final corner on the final lap over here, we nearly crash out. So it definitely has been a really bad race, but I guess we've kind of gotten used to the traction control setting for the next one. But as we barely crossed the line, last place, it definitely could have been P6, maybe even P5. I've absolutely destroyed the race over here.
A truly magnificent drive and a great performance from the entire team to secure the win here in Austin. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, they clearly have a car that comes alive in the kind of conditions we were dealing with today. It's a very balanced package in the wet, and what that means is that the drivers have confidence to attack. And having that confidence gets you on the power earlier, it lets you brake later, and can put you a long way up the road.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be proud of the victory they secured here.
So it's P22 for us, with Perez on top in P1. Lewis falls down to P2 from pole, and Valtteri Bottas finishes off the podium. Looking at the standings, we fall further behind Carlos Sainz, and actually Giovinazzi is closing up on us, only 3 points separated. So we're definitely going to have a good last couple of races, as in the constructor standings we actually just fall further behind from Alpine. So we are definitely going to have to score points in each race going on from now to even have a chance of catching up to him. But for now, that is going to be so. If you guys enjoyed, like, share, subscribe. See you guys next time. Bye bye.